everyone, I'm Rebecca and welcome back to my sewing room. As you may know, if you have been around my channel for a little bit, I have been doing a series of videos about the importance of silhouette and proportion and how to achieve that silhouette as time progresses, specifically from the 18 teens through the 19 teens. And today I have another video in that series, but this time we're going to kind of take a step back and look at, okay, what would happen if you ignore all of my tips and pointers and stuff about achieving that proper silhouette and you decide to just wear the costume, the outer costume, without any of the undergarments. No petticoats, no corsets, no skirt supports, no sleeve supports, none of that. You're just gonna wear the outer costume. Because I know that for a lot of people, especially when you get started in historical costuming, the idea of making the undergarments can be both really a bit scary, like if it comes to corsets, and also a bit tedious when it comes to petticoats, because you want to make those outer garments, and I totally understand that. But I feel like this video is kind of going to show you just how important those undergarments are, especially in getting the look right. I mean, of course, you can take that look one step further once you add accessories and everything like that, hairstyles, all that sort of stuff. You're really going to start to look right. But it's so important to start with that solid base of having the proper undergarments. So today we are going to look at those same costumes that I showed in my 100 years of plus size fashion video, but we are going to compare them side by side with this is what they look like if you're wearing your proper undergarments, and this is what they look like if you're not. Hopefully this video will be illuminating and interesting to you. And so with that said, let's go ahead and dive in, starting at 18 teens. First, this is what I'm wearing underneath all of these outfits: a modern bra, camisole, and bike shorts. I thought the Regency period would actually work better than all the other eras without a corset, but as it turns out, the bust seam just hits me totally wrong, and the whole thing just kind of looks pretty shapeless if the Regency bust isn't high up where it's supposed to be. The funny thing is that when I put this on, it was really difficult to get the shoulder blades, the shoulders through into this dress, and this is sitting completely wrong on my shoulders. And because of that, when I wear this with my corset, I have quite good range of motion. This is an archery dress, you need good range of motion. But when I'm wearing it now without the corset, because it's sitting so wrong on my shoulders, I actually have very little range of motion, which is fascinating. On this one, the skirt has a lot more body than the last one because this skirt is flat-lined, so that does help with the fact that I'm not wearing a petticoat, but the fit issues are pretty much the same. These fit issues are because a Regency or 1830s corset lifts the bust and separates it while slightly minimizing it so that your bust measurement is both smaller and higher, and that is why with a modern bra, things just don't fit right. The waist really isn't reduced much for Regency or for 1830s. It is mostly just the position of the bust that changes. This one is a real hot mess. We've got bra straps showing. The back doesn't close up at all. It just does not work in the slightest. My friend helped me do up the back as much as possible, so now I can show you what the back looks like when it is done up. We were actually able to get the majority of them done, which surprised me. This skirt is again flat-lined with organdy, and so it does seem to hold its own even without a petticoat. At first I didn't think that I was even going to get this one to close because the waist was very, very tight, but I did manage with quite a bit of squeezing to get that waist closed. The rest of it fits quite well because the rest of it honestly is pretty darn blousy. But the really comical thing is just the sheerness of the skirt. This is a sheer dress, and so without any petticoats under it, it's a sheer skirt. This one was really interesting to me because actually I think it's doing kind of the best job of fitting me of all of these. It is still quite tight in the waist, but not nearly as uncomfortably so as other things. Now, it could also be that this is made of cotton and linen, so there's more natural give here. The other thing here is that I didn't know better when I made this, and my waistbands are actually bias tape. So there's a lot of give there, so that was nice. This is actually pretty comfortable. It's lacking a lot without the cage crinoline underneath, but honestly, it's really not that bad to wear, and I almost want to incorporate it into a history bounding wardrobe. This one is really very interesting to me because the skirts actually fit very, very easily around my waist, but the bodice is a real stretch, and because these are covered buttons, it makes me a little nervous to even try doing them up. The skirt, on the other hand, though, obviously is just humongously long, but that's what I get for not having a crinolette underneath. My natural form gown is proving to be quite interesting because not only does it really look atrocious with its sort of hidden side closure not being able to close, and it also looks so lumpy through the body because it is all cut in one all the way through down past the hips. But also the bust feels way too low in this. Like the bust needs to be a lot higher than where it's sitting. And the whole dress just feels off with like no petticoat. And yeah, it is, whew, that is a mess. Of all the dresses so far, this one is definitely fitting and feeling the worst without the support garments. So I'm actually really surprised about this one. Obviously, it doesn't fit quite right or that well, and it doesn't give me the shape that I should for the 1880s, but it actually closes pretty easily. The waistbands of the skirt almost feel too large, and then of course the rib cage does have that issue. The skirts, on the other hand, are definitely lacking without the bustle, bum pad, and quilted petticoat underneath. So sad and droopy. This one feels really odd without any petticoat helping to support this very large and heavy train, and also the bodice, while it fits just fine up at the top of the back, it does not close at all at the bottom, and obviously my bra straps show in the neckline as well. Honestly, this skirt is so large and heavy that without petticoats underneath to help it, I basically can't even move. This is definitely right up there with the natural form gown for the worst fitting and worst one to wear without structural garments, for sure. So this one is a huge surprise coming after all of those ones that did not fit, because this is actually not that far off at all. Like, I could get away with wearing this. I'd probably want at least a petticoat to smooth the lines, and I definitely feel unsupported in my hip area, but really, it doesn't look that bad. It's easy to see why this era is so popular with history bounders, because it works so well even without the foundation garments. So I'm actually really surprised about this one, kind of, because I kind of thought that it might close, since this does go over my 19 teens corset, which is fairly close to my measurements, but I didn't really think that it would be at all flattering, and I feel like it's not the most terrible thing. Obviously, it's a little lumpy over the tummy, but not too terrible. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that this video was interesting and or entertaining to you, just to see the differences and the importances of those support garments underneath, those corsets, those petticoats, those skirt supports, those sleeve supports, etc., in achieving that proper silhouette. If you liked this video, please go ahead and click the thumbs up icon, and if you'd like to see more videos like this from me, please go ahead and click subscribe and the little bell icon to be notified every time I post a new video. I do post videos here on YouTube twice a week, with my sewing vlogs out on Tuesdays and other costuming content like this out on Saturdays, but I post every day over on my Instagram, so please go follow me on Instagram. That's at Lady Rebecca Fashions. And if you'd like to help support all of the work that I do on this channel, I do have a link to my Patreon and my Ko-fi account down in the description below. I'd also like to give a special shout out to my Edwardian level patrons, Heidi, Sharon, and Angela. Thank you all so much for joining me today. Have a wonderful week, and I will see you very soon in my next video. Happy sewing!